we were talking, Greg, just earlier about different categories that Brightcove, that you've kind of broken it down into these 4 core categories, and maybe you could describe some of the benefits of each of them in terms of and where you see the growth happening, from the you'd mentioned e-commerce and branding and things like that. Maybe you could describe that they're really kind of breaking it down into the 4 different categories.
Sure. So, all right. So there are more than these 4 distinct categories in the total world of enterprises and organizations that use video to tell their story. But we see kind of 4 major categories, and one of those, of course, is media. And media to us includes print and online magazines, as well as television and original programming. And so, there's a very large ecosystem there. And in general terms, without oversimplifying it, they're very concerned with how to make money on that content, and because the content is the product, right? So they, they're very concerned with how do they monetize, how do they use advertising in the right way, and how do they make sure that content's distributed, protected, secured. And so they look to technology vendors to help them solve a lot of those problems. And their growth is really coming through the additional creation of new programming that's happening all the time. And so that's one major segment we serve.
And this segment can manifest itself as both original programming and repurposing, because it could be broadcasting entities, it could be cable television entities, it could be Condé Nast, it could be New York Times, Boston Globe, and the video permutations of creating some original content, repurposing other news outlet content.
Yep. And consolidating content is a great example.
And in this category, what would you say is the percentage of all the video that's being used? Is this really the dominant area of what's being streamed and being seen?
Yeah, if you look at it in terms of bandwidth, companies that are distributing video programming are consuming the majority of the bandwidth online. So companies like Netflix, as well as the other major media publishers combined. Because those are because that consists largely of what we call long-form content. So,
right. And
that's very bandwidth intensive. So that's that they definitely consume the majority of the traffic. But they're not necessarily the only ones growing and the only ones streaming, because we're seeing a tremendous amount of growth in the other segments as well.
And some of this is part of an integrated marketing ad strategy too, so that if New York Times is doing it, it's part of their ad deal or that kind of thing, or a TV station or a cable station, that kind of thing.
Right. Yes. So yeah, there's a lot of change going on as well in terms of how to reach new screens and how to maintain existing customer relationships and existing financial models, but yet leverage more views and reach more devices, for example, is one example. So there's a lot of movement going on across the media industry that it's been quite interesting to be a part of.